Hey guys, this is Ryan Robitaille. I just want to do a quick video to kind of go with the dev blog from today uh, for DataRabbit's layout system. Let's get this here. So I'm going to be going through a whole bunch of stuff in the future, but today I wanted to focus on the layout. My abstract art here to try to get to break the div system. Anyways, so let's go to screen editing. So this is that screen right here, right? Here is the structure of the Flexbox. Here's some of the base CSS, Canvas CSS, and then down here you have whatever component is selected, has their own options. This is a Flexbox vertical box component from Recom, to go down. HBox, so I can essentially go in here and kind of, somewhat direct manipulation style. I don't have on change on every keystroke because it's super fucking annoying. But this works well, right? I can change stuff. I can kind of screw around with what I'm building. I have undo and redo. Kind of give a connection what's going on here. Let me get rid of this guy. And in addition to that, one of the problems with these kinds of interfaces is, there's a lot of stuff thrown in here, right? It's a lot of maps, it's a lot of configuration, but we need to keep that, direct connection between what people are doing and what shows up on the screen. Because that's kind of the only way you can create that kind of quick feedback loop for learning or building or doing anything kind of expressive. It's kind of like, if I was doing a watercolor painting, and I went like that, and then 30 seconds later, a jagged, streak appeared. It will be very difficult for me mentally. First of all, that would be a really weird thing to happen, but it will be really difficult for me mentally to make the connection, and your art or creation would suffer. So one of the things here, especially with doing some like CSS and Flexbox, is you want to keep people engaged in this kind of stuff. So one of the examples of that is like, borrowing some from some of Brett Victor's work. I really love the idea of being able to say, hey, we're in selection mode now, and I can actually, hover over these different components and select them that way, which is kind of great for reinforcing the mental model. Like, I might not necessarily know, forgive my fake names, Duck45T. I might not know what that is by looking at this, but now I can see that, oh, all right, over here in our hierarchy view, that is that element. And conversely, if I were over here and I was hovering over these, I could see, oh, these are my containers. Cool. These are my boxes. I might want to go to this horizontal box. Turn off that and say, maybe, that should be a vertical box. Maybe this should be a vertical box. Maybe this should be a horizontal box. Actually, we're not going to do that. So you're doing demos live. You never quite know what you're going to get. Anyways, really kind of interesting way. I can move the margins as I want with my mouse or with my keyboard. I can take the panels away. Obviously, this would be without the editor, without any of that stuff. This would be your dashboard or your application. Right now it's just a series of containers, but we'll get there. So the concept of the layout is essentially based on screens. Also, I don't know if you notice here, but I have like 14 SQL queries and other like HTTP gets running data in the background that I'm going to use for another video later. But I figure if you're going to test something and you're going to like benchmark it, you're going to work on it, you might as well try to abuse it, right? Because that's where it's going to break. Anyways, data aside, the whole thing's based on screens, right? So this is my kind of abstract weird screen. This is more of a pedestrian thing we would have. I'm putting two charts here, very basic. This is another one, but if screens are the building block and we're trying to follow this kind of like closure list philosophy where everything's data all the way down, right? Then I should be able to do things like, all right, well, let's see here. If I go back to my abstract deal here and I say, well, this Duck45T, we're going to put another box there, except it's going to be screen 2. Huh, neat, because screen 2 is just another screen that I happen to have in my system. Color lime. Hey, I go back to screen. So you can kind of, you know, bizarre shapes and colors aside, you can kind of get where I'm going with, you know, there's a layout. And I have different compound components, right? Maybe I have on a dashboard like a region overview, you know, that has a time series graph, maybe some call out numbers, you know, a whole bunch of stuff composed into a packaged unit that I then want to use in a larger layout. Even going so far as to, and I'll have another video on this, even going so far as to say, you know, here's my compound component, whatever that is, and then I'm going to put it in this layout, but I'm going to say, hey, go to my data and grab the region of this call, and for every region, I want you to go through and iterate and draw another one of these things, and like you can kind of see all the interesting stuff you can do that way. And the attempt was to not make it overwhelming. It may appear so, but I mean, in terms of letting people harness just raw CSS and Flexbox in order to build what becomes the basis of their application, I mean, I think is pretty cool. So yeah, that's that. It's kind of the layout. I kind of I said in the blog post like all the different reasons that all these different things make sense to me, and why it is that way. Doing that balance of flexibility versus control, and trying not to completely like outspan the user's mental complexity budget at the same time. Kind of tough, you know. The more trade-offs you make with the interface, like magic things, you know, I click this and then a cascade of side effects happens and a bunch of other shit happens. That's cool, and like, you know, Tableau and like, you know, the lookers and whatever, you know, have lots of that. I mean, they're really sophisticated applications, but that kind of takes you away from the mental model of what it is you're building, to me, you know. And then on top of that, if I'm using one of those applications, then I know how to use that application, right? But if I'm using something like this, even if this were to cease to exist, I've kind of learned something that goes beyond this, right? It's not a proprietary, abstract DSL, even though it kind of is, but it apes. I mean, this is literal CSS. I can put anything I want in here. And these component options are literally from, you know, Recom, or I'm using Nebo, I'm using Plotly. You'll see that all in the future. It's just passing configuration information to different things. It's like a data map orchestrator that spits out applications. I don't know, kind of interesting. But anyways, yeah, that's all for now. It's kind of late. Next, I'm going to be up doing possibly the data and the viz portion, which will be like obviously the next step on top of this. It's content on top of here, and how that interacts in this whole same way, and how it feeds back with the data, and then how we get that, and you know, we will get there soon. But I just wanted to do a quick video because it's so much easier than just doing a blog post and reading my somewhat overlong explanations of things. Now you can listen to overlong explanations of things. No, anyways, cheers everybody.